So I've gone and done another comparison vid for you. So I usually film all my intros on the 16mm on my desk, exactly like what I'm doing now. But lately I've been using the 30 and the 56mm as well, just to experiment really with how those different focal ranges work. And I thought this might be something you guys would be interested in too. So that's why I made this video. And I brought my trusty tape measure along on this test, just so I can actually give you guys the measurements so you can see how much room you'd need to work with if you were going to use these lenses in like an interview scenario, or if you wanted to use them for your own talking head stuff. Before we start, I'll just quickly run you through the settings, because I've maintained the same settings obviously for each lens, so that it's like a fair comparison. So they're all shot on the Sony a6500. They're all in 4K. They're all at 25 frames per second. They're all using the 180-degree shutter rule, which I'm not going to go into too much now, but it's basically just using a shutter speed that is double your frame rate. They're all at f1.4, so we can try and get the most separations between myself and the background. They're all on the Sony camera shot in PPA Cine 4 Pro, which enables us to keep the ISO down at 200 so that we keep the noise out. I'm using one key light and this on-air light, which is kind of acting as a practical light and a rim light. As I mentioned there, they're all shot in 4K, but I'm putting them into a 2560 by 1440 timeline. And what this enables us to do is, I've still got a little bit of room there to punch in. It just kind of gives that illusion of a bit like a multi-camera setup where you can, like I say, you can punch in just to get a bit of a different look. Obviously it's just using the same footage, but it just sometimes makes things look a little bit more interesting, a bit more poignant. If someone's talking about something interesting or emotional, you can punch in to kind of capture a bit more of that emotion. Anyway, I think that's enough waffle from me. Here's the test. Okay, so starting off with the 16mm. This is approximately a metre away from the centre of my seat, which I think is probably about the same kind of distance as when I'm using it on my desk to film myself, which is a pretty decent distance I think for this lens. I'll just give you a little example of the face detection working as well, which should hopefully be tracking my face. You'll see also I've just kind of sat away from the desk as much as I can, just a little bit, just to give a little bit more separation. But yeah, this is the 16mm. With the magic of editing, we will switch over to the 30mm, which as you can see is a fair bit more punched in than the 16mm. The 16mm was kind of more like a medium close shot. This is more like a close-up shot. So yeah, still works pretty well. Obviously there's a lot more bokeh now. Nice if you want to get sort of a bit closer to your audience. We'll now move on to the 56mm, which I'm having to actually ever so slightly lean back from where I was previously, only a smidge, just so that it can pick up my face on the tracking. I've noticed when I move too close, it seems that I think my face is too close to it for it to track. But here you go, it's basically like an extreme close-up. Probably not the best for most practical uses. Certainly not going to be any good for, trying to sort of vlog holding it at arm's length. Obviously this is at a metre, but still, at least you guys can now see exactly what you're going to fit in the frame at this distance. So now we will move back to the 16mm at 2 meters away. So at this distance, I'm aware obviously you can see the light in the frame here. I don't really want to move that because I want it to be like a consistent test, so all the lighting and stuff is the same. But as you can see a lot more in the frame now, more than what I really want you to see, to be honest. I kind of just want this corner of the room kind of being cut off here to be visible ideally in my shots, but that's not really the purpose of this test. The purpose of this test is to see how much you guys, you can see how much is going to be in the frame at each distance. So this is, like I say, this is 2 meters, 16mm, and I guess it's a nice distance for if you do want to show more of the environment that you're working in, and it's not too far of a distance. Although unfortunately we do lose some of that nice bokeh behind me because of the distance the camera is from me, and then there's only a short distance from myself to the background, so we're not really getting too much separation, but here it is anyway. So we'll now just switch back over to the 30mm, which is quite a nice kind of medium shot at this distance. I think this lens works quite well at this distance. It's kind of a nice amount of the environment in the shot. Yeah, seems to work pretty well. So let's move back to the 56mm, which we've got our nice bokeh back again now. We've got a nice bit of separation again. Quite a nice shot, you know, quite a fairly sort of close-up shot. But yeah, again, I quite like the lens at this distance. It looks pretty nice. Let's now try the 16mm back at 3 meters away. Which, as you can see, I've got far too much in the frame here, more than what I want. But obviously there is a lot more of my environment in the shot. We've probably lost all kind of bokeh and separation at this distance, but hopefully we're still getting a nice clean, crisp shot. And moving over to the 30mm, which I think I can just about see in the monitor there. You're still seeing way too much of this light, obviously, but this is what you can fit in the frame on the 30mm at 3 meters away, because I can't go back any further because this room is about 4 by 4 meters. So this is where this test will max out, but finally we will move over to the 56mm, and yeah, it looks like we're back to a kind of medium close shot again, which now completes this test. As usual, I hope that came in useful. Please think about liking and subscribing if it did. If you're looking to use these lenses for interview or talking head type footage, hopefully now these examples will give you a good idea of how each lens is going to look, and will give you a bit more of an informed decision on which one you need to purchase. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers.